All right, not always can you get an exact answer like we've been getting. Sometimes you're going to get decimals. Okay, so we're going to try these three examples down here. And you notice that they're all base 10 because there's no base down there. So we know they're base 10. So now pull out your calculator. Okay, so I'll show you how to type these in. It's pretty straightforward. We're going to hit log, the button over here on the side. All right, and then we're going to type in the argument. My first one is 25. And let's close off the bracket and hit enter. And we know the answer is 1.37 or 397. So we are determining it to, let's say what we're determining it to. Doesn't say the decimal places, so let's do it to 2 decimal places. Okay, so the answer would be 1.40 for the first one. Okay, so you would write down 1.40. All right. Now, the second one, go hit the log button, and we have our argument 0.81, and then we hit enter, and we get negative, what, move it over a bit. What do we have? Negative decimal 0.9, or a good way to write it is negative 0 decimal 0.9. It's probably a better way to write it. All right, and you can see what C would be. Type it in. So watch what happens with C now. We're going to hit log, negative 2, close the bracket, enter. We got an error. Because remember back before, the argument, this guy right here, the argument, we'll call x, has to be greater than 0. So it's not. So that's why there is no answer. Okay, so just watch out for those because they'll pop up. Okay, so let's slide to the next. All right, now we're going to do some rewriting of logarithmic equations into exponential form. Okay, and this is just the boot up rule. So we take this 2 and we boot it up and it equals the argument. So the answer would be 2 cubed equals 8. Okay, and we know that's true because 2 cubed is 8. So this one here, boot up, so 2 to the power of 5 equals 32. Pretty straightforward. All right. So now I want you guys to try. Again, you can pause and do it yourself and then check your answers with mine. Boot up. 2 to the negative 2 equals 1/4. 2 to the 1 equals 2. All right, let's move on. So let's have a look now at the definition of logs, where our base is a. So right down here, our base is a. Right here, there's our base. This is called the argument. Okay, that's called the argument. Okay, that's not the best writing, but okay, it's good enough. The argument, and this is the base. Okay. Okay, so this guy is the base, and that's the argument. Now, when you're looking at logs, you have to look at these two because there's restrictions. And we found out earlier, just a few slides ago, that when our argument was a negative, we could not get an answer. So that's why we have this restriction. Okay, the argument, or x, has to be greater than 0. And the base, in this case a, it also has to be greater than 0. And it cannot equal 1. Because if you had a base of 1, it doesn't matter what exponent, I'll use 7, the answer is 1. So when the base is 1, it's always going to be 1. Now let's look at these two very important observations. When you have a log of a base that matches the argument, see how the base and the argument are equal to each other, the answer is always 1. Okay, so here's an example. If I gave you log, let's say base 7 to the argument 7, and I said evaluate, well, that's easy. The answer is 1. Okay, there's the answer, 1. Now here, when you have the argument, right here, the argument is 1 and the base is whatever, the answer is 0. Because we had that example. We had log, let's use base 3. And
Call from British Columbia.
hello? Speaking. Oh, hi. Good. Yeah, we've been using it just off and on for the last probably a week. So I probably wouldn't be, I don't know, I'd say probably next week. Okay, that sounds great. Okay, bye. Okay, getting back, sorry about that interruption. So we had log 3 and the base is 3 and it equals 1. And we know it doesn't matter what it is, it has to be a 0 here. Okay, because 3 to the 0 is 1. All right. Now let's just determine the unknown in expressions. So here we go. We're just going to use the boot up because we're trying to solve for x, and x in this case is the argument. So we're going to boot up. So we have 5 to the negative 3 equals x. And 5 to the negative 3 is really 1 over 5 cubed. And we know 5 cubed is 125. So the answer is 1 over 125. Here, now our base is the x, so we boot up. So now we have x to the 2 equals 36. And now we're just going to do a little bit of algebra. That's easy, square root. So x equals 6. Here, we're trying to find the argument x, so boot up. So we got 64 to the 2/3 is my power, equals x. So now we have x. So now when we have 64 to the 2/3, we can use our calculator to solve that one. So we get our calculator out and we go 64 power up 2 divided by 3, and we get an answer of 16. All right, so let's move on. Now I want you to try these ones. And again, you can pause and I'll put the answers up and you can go on your own. A is 1 over 16. B is 1 over 2. And C is 27. Okay, and that is the end of part 1.